Let me change a bit the issue and talking a bit about leadership, because you are a specialist on leadership. I say in our teachings, leadership is not a question of attributes of a person, but it's a quality of relationships.
Yeah.
And ideally, you should train leadership relationships. You should not train people.
That's interesting.
And so we develop the science how those who are really in a leading relationship come together for training.
Yeah.
And I'm saying it's not a right leadership, it's only a working leadership. And they have to learn to make their leadership relationships work. And this is true for a relation of, in a hierarchy, for example, for 2 or 3 levels.
Yeah.
But in the whole company, it's a question of the whole network or the whole chain of leadership relationships. And we should think about how can we make these chains better, so that ideas at one point develop into effects of the system to the outside world, because that's the performance criterion.
Right.
And you're also talking a lot about leadership relationship and visionary leadership.
Well, I would say that there's quite a move now to looking at relationship as the sort of the key variable in understanding things like leadership and organization and all that. And I think it's a really good shift in focus. At the same time, I think there are certain individuals who are more consistently successful at building the kind of relationships, right? So that I think there are individual characteristics.
Yes,
and,
I believe that too.
Yeah.
And still, we have a formula, say, performance in leadership is you know your role, you understand the context, and it's a fitting. And this must be true for one person.
Yeah.
But it must also be true for the relationship.
Yeah.
And
yeah. Well, I'm sure that's true. There's a woman who's developed a thing she calls relational responsibility, who's getting really huge results from her research, showing this idea of relational responsibility as being the sort of the core variable that explains a whole lot of other things that work or don't work in organizational life. And I think it's similar to what you're talking about. And of course, Ken Gergen is kind of shifting his whole social psychology away from individualism to relationship as the core variable. Although I find I get annoyed with Ken, not with him personally, but with his idea, like wanting to just strip away any kind of sense of individuality. I spent my 30s in psychotherapy, and by the end of it, I mean, a lot in the Jungian sort of stuff. And, I think there is this, if you look at an individual, there's stuff coming from the inside out and there's stuff coming from the outside in, and where we each end up in this
it has to be melted somehow within the person, but it also has to be melted between the person and melted with the culture of the system.
Yeah.